Do you really think we've healed? And is it something that might not happen again?
I can never forget how I used to wake up every morning. I'm sorry, this makes me very emotional. We'd wake up every morning and you don't know what's going on. And you don't know who to ask the questions. Everybody is too frustrated. Everybody is too scared.
No one has sat down or no one has gone through the process of actually even taking the perpetrators to account.
You've gone to bed to the sounds of gunshots. You wake up to them in the morning to the sounds of gunshots. You just unashinda ukiambiwa hizo gunshots zilitoka side za Marakwet. You don't know gunshots gani ni za police, gani ni za watu wanajaribu kuwa attack.
There has never been even a single conviction for 1,000 lives that we lost and millions of money that was burned down. There's never been a single conviction, not one. That's a painful thing because we cannot bury our heads under the sand and assume these things never happened.
So what happened inside the roadblock and those part of area? These are now predominantly Kikuyu areas of Eldoret. So the militia started, they armed themselves. You'd hear Uhuru has released money to fund these people, Mungiki. So you'd hear Mungiki in Pilot, Mungiki in places like Langas, you'd hear the same. So they started retreating back. So what happened? These people were actually coming, they find you, they kill on spot. I remember this guy was my primary school head teacher. It just so happens that one of the people that had come to their house, they would come if they see any sign of a person, it doesn't matter because for them they were doing revenge. The people have lost their homes, people have lost their lives, and so it became a retaliatory thing. And then after a week or so, now that's when you'd see now police come in and those kind of things.
And for some weird reason, there was so much tension, and at that time we had a sick child at home. And during that period, my mom had two very young kids, other than my sister who was in upper primary then. My brothers were 2.5, 3, and the other one was about 1 year old. And the one who was 2.5 was sick then. He had cancer. So I used to be the one that stays with him in the hospital when my mom is home with the other child. And I remember the 24th of December, we had finally been discharged out of the hospital, and everybody was happy, blah, blah, blah. But then there was just something about Eldoret town that wasn't, there was a weird kind of tension.
Some of the perpetrators were actually my classmates in primary school. And today, most of them, nothing really has happened to them. There's that, most of them alcoholics. Some of them died miserable lives. People used to loot TVs, they loot anything they would find.
But the thing is, people know who went to whose house. And even if you go to those estates today, I'm very sure you would be told, mwenye alichoma nyumba ya Kamau ni Peter. You would be told that. Mwenye alichoma nyumba ya so and so ni nani na nani.
In Kisumu Ndogo kulikuwa na clashes, and I think a Luo had been killed, and then there was also a case where there's a cute guy who had a butchery, alikuwa amepigwa akauliwa. So within like a span of less than an hour, so many things had happened in Kisumu Ndogo. Everybody was running.
My question is, why do you think the government of that day and subsequent governments decided to bury this thing under the sand?
Tulikuwa tunapitwa na pickups zenye zimebeba bodies. People had died. Eldoret town was a ghost town. There was smoke everywhere. There were stones. There were tires burning. We are walking, tunasikia kuna watu wanatoka Nandi Hills wamekuja na arrows and whatnot. Mind you, we are from two different tribes. Yeah. So at this point, we don't know who's supposed to run where. Because at this point, Kales were fighting Kisis. My mother is a Kalenjin. My dad is a Kisi. Where we are running, our uncle is a Kalenjin. We'd watch the news, and I remember areas 64, Langa, in Nakuru. I remember just seeing houses burning up. and kids are watching their houses burning up like they know happening kwetu. There's no way of communicating with your parents or your family, so you don't know if they're alive or not. I remember seeing that Langa's LD was back in flames and just constantly asking myself, where am I? I don't know where my parents are. I don't know where my siblings are. You can't talk to them. It's extremely unfair for anybody to expect us to just move on like nothing ever happened. And it's very unfair for people who are actually accused of these things to wake up and start threatening us for trying to speak about what happened. I don't think we should stop talking about what happened because people are traumatized, people are poor because of this. I am very sure there's thousands and thousands of people who are still in they're not in IDP camps, but I don't know where they are right now because those places were closed down. So walienda wapi?
We saw all the stages of a genocide. There are all those stages that happen before the real genocide happens. But I'll just summarize it. First of all, people start by categorizing others. It's like you're othering. You're saying Kikuyus versus the rest. And then we dehumanize and label them. In Rwanda, the victims were being called cockroaches. But in Kenya, I remember in Rift Valley, the Kikuyus were being called Madoadoa, which means you are not supposed to be here. You are dehumanized. You should not be there. You are a Madoadoa. So we label them, and then they were exterminated. Because when you dehumanize someone and you remove that human aspect out of them, then you justify killing them. Basically, that's what it is. So you basically call them cockroaches, or you call them Madoadoa, so that you give the people the justification to kill them. And this is the role that the radio stations played that time. If you listen to the radio station, including that guy who we are talking about in Twitter now, the language that time was that ukipata madoadoa toa madoadoa. Basically, that was a coded language that kill them, kill the Kikuyus. They are not wanted in Rift Valley. Kill them when you see them. So this was the language again, exactly that was used, and then they were exterminated, and extermination happens, and then you deny. We saw denial coming later. Oh, this was not planned. Oh, this was not planned by so and so. It was planned by another person. Oh, this was just because of hysterical things. Oh, this is Kikuyu's fault. This is Kalenjin's fault. This is someone's fault. So, my point is basically that this genocidal kind of events do not just happen overnight. They happen again through steps, and we saw all those steps happening, and the people benefit, and people really just focus on their end goal. Even when people are being slaughtered, even when people are being roasted in Kiamba, because people are locked into a church, burned life inside a church, children, we woke up to that news that day, and still people are saying no Raila, no peace. That is how detached people were from humanity. People are saying if there's no Raila, there's no peace. Kill as many as you want, as many as you can.
We never healed. We never talked about these things. We never sat down to punish the perpetrators of this violence. What happened is that we swept everything under the carpet and assumed that everything is okay, which is not the case. And this is what is haunting us today. When I look at my friend, when I go through their home today, it's deserted. They call it a ghost house because he was the only son. And people don't understand why that house does not have anybody living in it. Because the mother left, everybody left, and the house is there. Nobody lives in it today. When you hear stories from a lady like Nyamrisa, who is talking about what she went through, she had not gotten any counseling. When you hear somebody saying that even buying land, you have to consider where you're buying land in Kenya, it's because we swept everything under the carpet. And as we are going to 2027, you can see the recurrence of the same thing, the balkanization in tribal lines, people taking stands. You can already see the violence in meted on other politicians. And this was the same thing that happened in the 2007 scenario. So as much as we would want not to, I usually say that Kenyans are allergic to the hard stuff. But I feel like this is a good conversation that we have started, and we have to really do some soul searching as Kenyans and try to understand what is this hate that we don't have until elections is hard. Why can I live with my neighbor every day until the day that we vote? Then he becomes a Kikuyu or another tribe.
You kill your neighbor in Eldoret or in Kibera and you say, hawa ndio wametuibia kura. That guy is like you. I'm a citizen like you. I have no power over IEBC. I'm not counting the vote. You are seeing who is stealing, but you want to kill me. And you do kill me and my family. That was the ujinga of the highest level. You are murdering fellow Kenyans who are struggling like yourself because politicians have whipped you up over decades and years that your enemy is that community, not their incompetence. And isn't it what they have exposed themselves to be now? The people who are in power now then were the ones telling us to fight. We were being told no Raila, no peace. So that you understand how you look at this situation. And by the way, the day Raila said stop fighting, imagine that is the exact day it stopped. That's the exact day it stopped. So it was within his power, but it was an issue of until Kofi Annan comes down and negotiates this thing and I get my nusu mkate. By the way, if you don't know, Raila was earning more than Kibaki after that negotiation. And that is why you've heard me ask in this forum, what did he do with that nusu mkate after that? Because the idea was like, I'm not going to do anything until I have the whole, I don't know what the hell he did. But the point is this, there was no output for it. And people died. So the pain for Kenya has been this thing. Politicians disagree because they have equipped and become what we call this politics of sycophancy. Kenyans kill each other, then they do a handshake and they're at peace. We are left hating each other.
I can already feel my blood rushing through my body 17 years later, with the trauma that I've been carrying since 2007. I was 17 years old. And I've never told anyone this, never spoken to anybody about this, but I died that day. And I died together with the friends, together with people I knew, somewhere in Burnt Forest, a village called Kondo, Farm 9, Rukoine. I died there. And since that day, I'm strong, yes. I'm a very strong guy, but I lost a piece of myself and I do not recognize myself anymore since 2007. But hey, I became a journalist because of that. That's what inspired me to become a journalist later on in life. Because I remember it well. And it happened like a flash. Yet, it is something that we were anticipating. It is something that everybody was talking about. That evening, 27th of December, I was there with my friends Pale, listening from a small car radio, kule Gishagi, the way muna hole up around a radio. And at that moment, it's when we turned and saw the whole horizon. That is the whole horizon, mustuni kule, mahali kunaitwa Gitingia, mahali kunaitwa Sengalo, Chereber, and Kondo pande ile ingine. The whole horizon was on fire. And all the roads that were leading or were coming from those places, they were filled with dust. People carrying their baggages, livestock, punda, watoto, and everybody running helter-skelter. But 1 hour before that, a friend of ours, I do not want to mention his name, but right now he works at the county government of Uasin Gishu. He passed by. And first of all, I want to categorize that just as a figure of speech. Let me talk about bad Kalenjins and good Kalenjins, because I know there are good Kalenjins. I've been with them. Now I'm talking about the bad Kalenjins. And that guy 1 hour before had passed by and told us, na leo sky inakaa damu. We told him, we ni nini unaongea, si ukae hapa tusikize hii maneno ya election vile inaenda. And he told us, no, I'm supposed to be somewhere, so let me just go. Lakini the sky inakaa damu leo. We didn't even decipher what he was trying to say, but it turns out that he was the go-between between the two homesteads where Bad Kalenjin Murenjun, let me call them that, Bad Kalenjin warriors, were holed up for 3 days before the announcing of elections results. And this guy was the go-between between this homestead and the other homestead. So I don't know what, maybe he was passing a message around there, and because at that moment it's when the war cry was heard. We turned, the whole horizon was on fire, and everybody was running helter-skelter. We all got holed up in a school called Rokoini. Everybody from that area akaingia pale shuleni, and that night, that very long night, it's when I died.